Ciao amici e benvenuti nella Cercle de Lune. Hello friends. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably know from my attempt at an Italian intro to this video that this is my series in which I use Tarot de Marseille adjacent, or antique Italian decks to help me unpack and find a central message from the weekly larger spread that I do. And I've done my weekly larger spread. And so I ask the question, these days the question is, what is the central message of this week's elemental spread? So friends, if you have not seen this week's larger video, I will highly recommend you go and watch that because it'll give you the context from which this question is being answered. So I'll put a card up here for you to hop on over, take a look at that video and come on back to see if this week's centrally, what do I want to say? Extracted, centrally reduced, centrally condensed message actually matches the larger spread or not. Maybe you decide this condensed version has nothing to do with the larger spread. Maybe you will. Go watch, come back. The title for this week's video, just in case you have seen it and want a refresher, was Snatching Defeat from the Jaws of Victory. Those times where it seems we're on the path to success and something happens, probably something happens that screws it up for us, right? And there are several possibilities, and this week's spread also gave us some potential solutions to that. And those solutions were generally, keep your head down, keep on working, keep on going, don't fall asleep, don't get distracted by other people's comments, don't get off topic, don't get off point. Now just keep going, and don't get too excited by the little successes that we feel because they're passing, they're fleeting, and we're still on the path to success, right? Does that make sense? So, this week's spread was about that, and we had some great advice for doing that as well. We had 2 queens pop up as well, which I love to see. Not many major arcana cards. This week's condensed version of the spread has major arcana cards. And instead of a queen, we've got a knight. And we've also got an oracle card. So friends, what are we going to do? I'm going to show you the question first. I'll type the question out all nice and pretty, and then I will show you the cards that came out for the spread, and then we'll talk about it. Are you all ready? Here we go. You saw that these cards are not from a French Tarot de Marseille deck or a redrawing of that deck, but from an antique Italian deck. And I love this deck. This is the, I might be wrong, I think this is the Sopraffino. I sometimes get confused between the Sopraffino and another deck, and I think this is the Sopraffino. Beautiful remastering of that deck by Lo Scarabeo. I'm not sure if it's still available. If it is available, I'll put a link to it in the description box below so you can hop on over and purchase it. If there's no link down there, that means it's out of print, and I'm not really sure of the status of that right off the top of my head. I'm sorry. But you saw, going from left to right, we had the Knight of Discs, the Strength card, and the Temperance card. And we also had an Oracle card because I pulled the Oracle card from the Zammer Twins Oracle by Patrick Valenza at Deviant Moon. And I don't know what you think, but I think this Oracle particularly matches the Italian decks very nicely. I'm just saying. So didn't you think it looked well with the 3 cards that we had there from the tarot? I think it did. So what's it all about, Alfie? The cards, I think, are best read from left to right, the order that they were laid out. Because the Knight, the first card that we pulled out, is facing in that direction. The Strength card, La Forza, is facing a little bit to the left, but also facing down. The Temperance card is facing to the left, but her body is facing to the right. The one that has the strongest direction to it is the Knight of Discs, of coins, and so that's the direction we're going to go in. Okay, so we start off with the Knight of Discs, of Denari. And in this deck, it's called Cabal de Dan. With a period, yeah? Denari is reduced to Dan. Beautiful card, but just like a Tarot de Marseille, we see the Knight following a floating disc in front of its head. What is this disc I see before me? As maybe the Scottish king might have said in the Scottish tragedy by William Shakespeare. Yeah, holding a knife, a sword over his shoulder. Riding his horse, following the disc, following the task, being on point. Not riding quickly, not charging forward, just walking forward, following the disc. So this is the Knight of efficiency, hard work, responsibility. Taking on challenges, certainly. And the Knight is not going to shy away from doing something that he, she, or they are not used to doing, but they're not going to be quick about it either. They're going to do it step by step. And they're able to be creative as well. It's not a non-creative. It's not like this Knight is so routinized that they can't do anything new. That's not what it's talking about. Yes, routine. Keeping routines, keeping schedules, but also creative. Advancing in a practical direction. Their productivity is an expression of their creativity as well. This Knight has creativity within, but that creativity is expressed productively, with a clear goal in sight. You see that the Knight has this clear goal in sight. It's right there in front of his face. So, doing the work, which is basically the message for this week's larger spread, if you recall. And what direction is the Knight of Discs heading in? The Knight of Discs, oh, I just dropped a card. Let me go get it. I'll be right back. We're back with the card, and the card is Strength. Beautiful Strength card. What do you see? Do you see a woman and a lion? Do you see a man and a lion? Do you see a non-binary person and a lion? I think in this Strength card in particular, we see what we want to see. For me, I see a man. This looks like a guy. The guy looks like he has a 5 o'clock shadow. The guy is wearing pants. And yeah, you might say, well, the guy has breasts, but those could be very nicely developed pectoral muscles as well, right? So to me, this particular Strength card is a male on top of a lion. They're doing a little bit of wrestling. But there's I don't know, it looks like a very familiar, friendly kind of wrestling, like you might wrestle with your pet dog. If you've had a small dog, you might not know what I'm talking about. But if you've ever had a large dog, and especially if you were a child at the time, and you playfully wrestled with your dog, that's what this kind of reminds me of. Strength. What does strength mean? It could be courage. It could be instinct as well, and bravery, power, confidence. Nobility of heart, sure. But instinctive energy. But that's not instinctive energy that is shooting out like, okay, I'm going to go there, like something ejaculating. This is into space, right? This is regulated, self-disciplined energy that is being released. Because it's also the relations between mind and instinct, yeah? Superconscious and subconscious, perhaps even. We're able to take risks because there's a unity. There's a coherence between all aspects of mind and mind, right? From the instinctual libidinous aspect of mind to the ethereal, spiritual, and the more practically focused, ego-based. All of that is all in alignment here in the Strength card. Which is interesting because if you did see the larger spread this week, in the unconscious part of the spread, we had the, it's a Harris, Crowley, Thoth-based spread. So in that deck, it's called Lust. But the Lust card is the Strength card. And we had that card in the center of the lower aspect of the central part of the spread. And if you watched the video, you know what I'm talking about. Just saying. So, yeah, we had this card in the larger spread in its different iteration in the Thoth Tarot. So, the Knight is walking forward, doing the work, taking on challenges, and has a mind to their courage, their bravery, their power, their directed libido. And libido can be sexual, but can also be creative in another way as well. Our instincts put to good use. Our inner vital forces put to good use as well. Which is wonderful. And we move directly into Temperance. Beautiful Temperance card. Definitely a female presenting figure if you ask me, holding two different vessels, water flowing from one into the other as we would expect. Love the colors in this card. Love the color of that red sash around her white gown. Yeah? Beautiful. The flowers on the shoulders of her dress. Just lovely. And what is temperance? Well, temperance can be patience, harmony, serenity. It can be dynamic balance. Yeah, the balance of justice is, to me, more of a stable kind of balance of two things that have all come into balance. Temperance is has that sense of flow, right? Dynamic balance, like a juggler on a standing on a board on a barrel on its side. Have you ever seen that? Yeah, a barrel is on its side so it can roll, and there's a board on top of it, and the juggler stands on the board, so he has to balance his, her, or their feet as they juggle things in the air. That kind of, there's a balance, but it's dynamic. It's not fixed, right? There's also the idea of healing for the Temperance card. Now, there's the alchemy of healing and creating healing potions. Exchanges and energy flow is here as well. Spiritual healing is possible. Keeping an even temper. And integration of opposites. All possible. And I think this card is in particular calling for the healing of the aspects of mind that were standing in our way from this week's larger spread. Yeah, we've got the idea of working productively, of harnessing our inner vital forces in strength, but we also want to do the work of healing of ourselves so that we don't end up slipping into the pattern of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. There's some healing that's being called for, whether it's our need to make everybody happy or the healing of our need to wallow in success instead of moving forward with it. Or our need to stand out and shine, yeah? We've got some shadow work, you might say, to do to prevent us from finding defeat even though we're on the path to success. And that's interesting because the next card we're going to look at is the Oracle card, which is, now this is a beautiful card. Don't you agree? Do you agree? Please say you agree. This is the Wounded Man. And when I see this wounded man, the first thing that comes to my mind is Saint Sebastian. Even though usually Saint Sebastian is tied against a tree, still this wounded man reminds me of Saint Sebastian, one of my favorite saints. Here we have a wounded man rising into the heavens, penetrated by various forms of weaponry. And although his injuries are severe, he remains alive and beyond any feelings of pain. This is an ascended wound, the wounded ascended one, ascending one. Now, we've experienced some stuff, we've been damaged, but we are rising now. So yes, the meaning here is injury, trauma. Now we've gone through some stuff, but it's also surgery and the healing of those wounds, which calls to mind this. A search for a cure or remedy. Ta-da-da, this card. A spirit that transcends mortal problems. And it's that transcendence, that ability to transcend the problems that are rattling around us and then being able to keep on task and keep focused on harnessing that libido within, that I think this card is pointing towards. Now, we've had some trauma, we've had some injury in the past, and maybe that's what we're trying to compensate for with reveling in or succumbing to luxury, as we were indicated in the larger spread for this week. But we want to heal those wounds so that heal ourselves, find healing for ourselves, so that we can do the work of this guy, gal, non-binary person, with this on their mind, and doing the healing of the Temperance card, which allows us to ascend and find success, right? Does that make sense? I have no idea what I'm going to title this video yet. Hopefully I'll land on a good one. If you like the title that I came up with, let me know in the comments below. If you've got a better title for this video, let me know in the comments below. If you would read these cards very differently, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? What do you think of this deck, of these decks? Do you love them as much as I do? Do you prefer other kinds of decks? I'd love to know. So friends, here we are. This is the distillation of this week's larger spread right here. Yeah? Right here. Ta-da! And I think it makes sense. So friends, if you are still here, thank you very much for hitting that thumbs up button. It really does help the channel. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for hitting that alarm bell, because that helps you. Getting notifications of when I upload videos will be helpful for you. And again, really, comment below. I would love to hear from you. And if you want a reading from me, let me know. Either let me know in the comments below, or shoot me an email to thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com, and we'll get you a reading. Okay, friends? So, here we are. the end of this week's video. Thank you. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.